Right now on the National Weather Desk, wild weather as Denver prepares for its biggest snowfall in years. And the northern plains are seeing record high temperatures.
We can't expect this to last forever.
And that's not good news for Michigan's blueberry crop.
When you get a hard freeze, it destroys the fruit crop at that point.
See the steps one community in Texas took months and years ago that helped save it from wildfires.
It could have really been devastating to the community and town.
We'll help you understand the science behind next month's total solar eclipse.
If you can get into the shadow, it is a whole different experience.
And we'll explain how RIME ice forms on trees.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. Denver is about to get slammed with more than a foot of snow. Winter storm warnings start tonight and continues into tomorrow. Rain today will transition to snow later this evening, and the heaviest amounts will fall south and west of the city. Some of the ski resorts could see close to 3 feet of snow by Friday morning. Tomorrow happens to be the 3-year anniversary of Denver's last double-digit snowstorm. There is a slight risk of severe storms today in the plains, especially in northern Missouri and northeastern Kansas. The threat is even greater tomorrow with parts of Arkansas under greatest risk. And unfortunately, it appears all of the moisture Colorado will miss the Texas Panhandle. They could use the rain because wildfires that broke out 2 weeks ago are still burning. The fires are now 89% contained. But folks are worried because high winds and low humidity today could fan the flames. And meantime, fire officials are crediting efforts taken months and years ago from saving one Texas town from the fires. Trevon Gay shows us what they did.
The wind-induced wildfire was not kind to the city of Fritch, damaging several of homes in the area. But the nearby city of Borger fared much better due to something it learned nearly 20 years ago.
And of course, with our predominant southwest winds up here in the Panhandle, we knew that this southwest corner of Borger was a potential hot spot if we were to get hit by fire, that it could have potential to cause a lot of damage and even loss of life.
After the Mother's Day fire in 2006, the city started prescribed burns. As you can see from this photo taken by a drone, a 7-mile stretch was burned from south of Borger to Milner Road.
So it could have really been devastating to the community and town.
Fire Chief Archie Stone says this is not the only place the prescribed burn is done.
We actually have 50 plus units spread out across town, and it covers all sides of town, and we even have some pockets in the middle of town that we take care of.
So how do these prescribed burns help? Chief Stone explains the barrier.
This is actually, we have a bare dirt line along the outer perimeter of the burn unit, and then on the inside where you can see that the fire stopped, we actually have a mow line. It's probably about 30 foot wide.
A couple who lives in one of these homes didn't want to go on camera, but they and their neighbor across the street told me they are thankful the prescribed burn was done, because if not, windy deuce would have taken their home.
It's been a mild winter season in Wisconsin. February was the hottest on record in the state, and many daily records fell just yesterday. Meteorologist Christian Palacios has more.
Parents and grandparents are spending time at Voyager Park on this wonderful warm March day. I was curious to see what people thought for the remainder of March.
Now that we've really warmed up in the middle of March, would you say that spring is in full swing?
You think so, but there's always that snap. It'll get cold again, you know, so there'll be one big snowfall before it's ready, but it seems like it's probably coming.
No, well, talking to a lot of my friends, we're convinced that we're going to get another big blast along the way.
Yeah. Okay.
We can't expect this to last forever.
No. Yeah. Next year is going to be hard because it'll be normal.
Despite the welcoming weather for the past several weeks, folks still aren't fully convinced it's a true spring just yet. Let's look at how many days we've been warmer than normal. Most of the final week of February and every day this month has been above average. February 24th was the last time we were at or below normal. And even before that, we had many above normal days in February. From March 1st to the 12th, normal daily highs would be around 36.4 degrees. This year, we're averaging 51 degrees, and the record high for March is 82 degrees, which was set back in 2012 and 1910. Now, here's the Climate Prediction Center's 8 to 14 day outlook. A good portion of the country has a chance for near normal temperatures, including much of Wisconsin. So maybe not all of March will stay above normal.
It's a similar story in Michigan where farmers say the warm weather could be a problem. Audrey Boucher visited 2 of the largest blueberry farms to hear why spring-like weather now could jeopardize the berries.
It's tricking the plants into thinking that it's later in the season than it actually is. So they're starting to come out of dormancy.
The warmer temperatures may feel great to many of us. However, for farmers like Derek Lawrence of Double L Farms in Wexford County, it's causing his blueberry bushes to bud much earlier than expected. Typical harvesting season for blueberries doesn't begin until mid-July, and they can only be harvested once per year.
Once those buds start to expand and they start growing, the bigger they get, the softer they get. Once they get to that point where they're opening up, that's when they're the most susceptible. You get a hard freeze and it freezes those buds. It destroys the fruit crop at that point.
Double L Farms has more than 4,000 blueberry bushes. At Harrietta's Blueberry Hill, owner Larry Waldo has 5,300 bushes and says seeing buds appear this early is never a good sign.
They're starting to push up. You can see it on the ornamentals around here. They're starting to swell up, and that's not good for mid-March. I mean, normally you see that late in April, and it's not too bad. However, between now and, say, Memorial Day, which is when we consider our frost danger is over.
Both Waldo and Lawrence say there isn't a way to protect the bushes unless you have a greenhouse. And if there is a frost and the blueberries survive, they could be harder, have more seeds, and not good for harvesting.
The cold temperatures those farmers are worrying about should arrive next week. The jet stream, which is responsible for bringing the warm weather to the region, will be on the move. That means highs will plummet from the 60s and 70s this week to the 20s and 30s by Monday. The Northeast will also see falling temperatures, but the change won't be as drastic. Take a look at this image. It's an example of RIME rice, which is a fairly common in the mountain areas this time of year. Meteorologist Kit Alexander explains how RIME rice forms.
A cold morning in the mountains brings a familiar sight. We are talking about the formation of RIME ice. Many of you are familiar with frost, which describes the formation of frozen ice crystals, usually in the form of frozen dew. According to the National Weather Service, RIME ice forms when incredibly small water droplets freeze onto a surface that is below freezing. Frost forms during clear skies. Meanwhile, RIME ice forms when a cloud moves and touches mountain areas. And many times these water droplets are located in fog. These supercooled water droplets are suspended within the air and remain liquid until they come in contact with an object like a tree or surface. RIME ice can manifest itself in unique formations and from a distance may look similar to snow.
Very cool. March is Women's History Month, so we are highlighting female trailblazers in the field of meteorology. Emily Gracie looks at the life of Joan Simpson.
Joanne Simpson was born in Boston in 1923 and became fascinated by weather while sailing and watching the clouds as a young child. She attended the University of Chicago, where she studied under Carl Gustav Rossby, best known for identifying Rossby waves. She got her master's degree and then went on to become the first American woman to obtain a PhD in meteorology in 1949. Her fascination with the clouds never went away. In fact, her research was centered around the movement of clouds from the tropics to the mid-latitudes. She developed models that demonstrated how important clouds were in driving tropical circulation. Dr. Simpson encountered roadblocks throughout her career in a male-dominated field, but she persisted in the academic world as well as the government sector, eventually becoming NASA's lead weather researcher. She received many awards, including AMS's Carl Gustav Rossby Research Medal in 1983 for outstanding contributions to man's understanding of the structure of the atmosphere. Joanne Simpson passed away in 2010 at the age of 86. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie.
NASA has unveiled its design for a message that's heading to Jupiter's moon Europa later this year. A metal plate will be on board NASA's Europa Clipper spacecraft when it launches in October. The plate is decorated on both sides and will serve as a cosmic message in a bottle. It's etched with poetry and artwork symbolizing humanity. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, a new satellite launched to help track methane on Earth. We'll get an inside look at how it works.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have a nice looking day on tap for today and tomorrow, but we do have a wide range in temperature to outline. 7 a.m. We're out of the gates with temps in the 30s. Some low 40s are possible. Notice by afternoon, we're back in the 50s for many areas. A few spots may nudge 60 degrees. There may be an evening rain shower, especially in southern New England and also back into southern parts of New York. That will extend into the early nighttime hours. Thursday, temperatures will be all over the place. 40s, 50s, and even 60s return.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Nice and dry for your Wednesday. That'll be the case again as we head into Thursday. No rainfall to talk about until our next chance arrives later into Friday evening and Friday night. A few showers will be possible. Temperatures will continue to soar. We'll feel spring-like with highs in the 70s to this afternoon as well as Thursday afternoon. Mid-70s on the table. We'll even see that repeat on Friday, but big changes coming later into next week.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Good morning. Another above average day starting to build in as high pressure is over the Atlantic now. Most of us in the 70s today. Florida Peninsula, the exception, in the 80s. We will see more cloud cover build throughout the rest of the afternoon. Denser cloud cover over the north part of Florida. Isolated showers are possible in Mississippi, Louisiana, and parts of Tennessee. Mostly clear conditions Thursday as well. Denser cloud covers build in the western part of the area.
The National Weather Desk.
All right, welcome back. We mentioned earlier the mild winter weather in Wisconsin. Those warmer temperatures are increasing the risk of wildfires across the entire state. Emily Mutesic explains.
From fields to the woods to driving down the highway, the scene is the same across Wisconsin. There's dry brush and brown grass, conditions are windy, and with no snow cover and very little precipitation, conditions are ripe for wildfires. So far this year, statewide, there have been 188 wildfires that burned more than 350 acres. In the same time frame last year, there were only 7 fires that damaged about 10 acres of land.
Typical winter, we have snow cover until, maybe March. So the fact that we haven't had that and we've already had, numerous fires across the state and in Oconto County is a little bit weird. It's definitely an early start to fire season this year.
The early start has led the DNR to issue high fire danger warnings because with conditions like they are right now, fine fuel like grass and leaf litter can ignite quickly and spread fast. Unlike out west, where wildfires have been known to burn tens of thousands of acres and in some cases wipe out hundreds of homes and structures in one town, here in Wisconsin, wildfires have been far less damaging, but they still happen. Last July, more than 700 acres of land, along with 3 homes and more than a dozen other structures burned in Waushara County. Known as the Pallet Fire, it was caused by an out-of-control debris burn. The DNR touting relationships with local fire departments, as well as community awareness for keeping large-scale fires to a minimum.
Large fires can and do happen. Most of the time, through partners with fire departments, DNR resources, we can catch them before they do get big. But if conditions definitely persist where it's dry, it's hot, it's windy, we're going to see larger fires occur across the state.
A new satellite launched last week to track methane on Earth. The hope is that it will allow governments and fossil fuel companies to better understand the emissions that contribute to global warming. Bill Weir reports.
3, 2, 1, ignition. And liftoff, Falcon 9.
Paid for by the likes of billionaire Jeff Bezos and other donors, the nonprofit Environmental Defense Fund just launched a new kind of eye in the sky.
Vehicle sufficient gun range.
Methane Sat. is designed to circle the Earth every 95 minutes or so, and with cutting-edge detail, spot plumes and leaks of planet-cooking pollution long associated with the production of natural gas. If carbon dioxide is a blanket of average thickness overheating the Earth for centuries, methane is like a blanket 7 feet thick, with over 80 times the heat-trapping power of CO2 for about 2 decades after its release. Sometimes it leaks from old equipment or orphan wells, and sometimes when there's no one to buy it, companies just burn it in a practice known as flaring.
What we found here in the Permian Basin is that operators are wasting enough gas to heat about 2 million homes a year.
In 2021, EDF took us up over the oil and gas fields of Texas to sniff out methane leakers with a specially equipped airplane.
So this is carbon dioxide down here? Yeah. And this is methane.
But now they can fly over every oil and gas basin in the world, where 80% of global supplies are fracked and pumped.
We can basically create a movie of what's going on with respect to methane emissions. Before, we could just take snapshots when we had a plane in the air and we can get permission to fly. This is a whole new game. It really creates an enormous leap forward in our ability to really understand greenhouse gas emissions.
While other satellites can spot methane, what they find is often kept private. But EDF says that in about 18 months, their data will be open and free on Google Earth Engine for anyone to see.
You just have a real clarity now, a clarity we've never had before. You can actually directly look at it, see what it is, and that is completely different than anything we've ever had for greenhouse gases.
We continue our countdown to the solar eclipse across America, now just 25 days away. Not everyone will be able to see the eclipse in its totality. A matter of miles can make all the difference in your viewing experience. Meteorologist Marshall McPeak explains why.
When the total solar eclipse happens on April 8th, not everywhere in central Ohio is going to be in the path of totality. The path runs across most of western and northern Ohio. It's about 115 miles wide. It does include Dayton and Cleveland and Toledo. Columbus, though, not so much. We don't have to go far, though. Totality is as close as Dublin or Marysville on up into Delaware and Marion. Even if you're in Lancaster, it's a short drive to get into the full shadow. But why does the line fall off so quickly? Well, the moon is like anything else that casts a shadow. The shadow ends at the edge of the object, right? So think of it like the shade under a tree in the summer. In the shadow, it's cooler, it blocks the sun, but as soon as you step away from the leaves, then the shadow is gone and the bright sunshine is back. So it's the same for the visor on your ball cap, or even when you just hold up your hand to shield your eyes from the sun. But think of this as totality. It's in the shadow. This is not. Columbus is out here. Dublin is in there. So if you can get into the shadow, it is a whole different experience. It is worth the drive, and we will see you in the shadow.
And stay with the National Weather Desk as we count down the days until April 8th's eclipse. We'll have 3 hours of live coverage during the eclipse. We also have much more on the eclipse posted on our YouTube channel. Just search the National Weather Desk and be sure to subscribe. 121 years ago this week, President Teddy Roosevelt designated Pelican Island, Florida, as the nation's first national wildlife refuge. Today, there are more than 570. This week, officials announced the Everglades to Gulf Conservation Area will be the newest to join that list. Dylan Huberman has more.
It's an important week for the environment. This week marks 121 years since Teddy Roosevelt named the first ever wildlife refuge, which are specific areas across the nation designated to conserve and protect wildlife and their habitats, something desperately needed in Florida.
We have everything you want, but we are losing a lot of green space. We're losing the green heart beating.
So it makes sense the first wildlife refuge ever was in Vero Beach at Pelican Island. There have since been more than 560 added across the nation. Monday, officials announced the newest one will be here in the Sunshine State.
I can think of no better way to celebrate the National Wildlife Refuge System's 121st birthday than right here at Pelican Island. the system's birthplace, to commemorate the newest addition to this special network of lands and waters.
The new addition, the Everglades to Gulf Conservation Area, spans more than 4 million acres, encompassing 12 counties from Naples to Lakeland. Now commemorated by a plank next to all the other refuges on the viewing bridge pointed at the islands Roosevelt protected. Not only will it continue to protect more than 100 species of threatened or endangered wildlife, it will also protect private and public lands in the region. Stakeholders collaborated for years to make this project possible, and while those stakeholders are thrilled to see this, they're hoping this is just the beginning of more conservation efforts down the road.
And time now for a short break, but first we soar over Enola, Pennsylvania.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We've got some scattered showers and thunderstorms developing across the plains for the day today. As we move into tomorrow, that kind of spreads across a lot of the Midwest here. And cool temperatures there to the north, only in the 40s there in the Dakotas for high temperatures tomorrow. As we continue on into Friday, that rain slowly moving its way towards the Ohio Valley and on its way out of here. And a lot of 50s for high temperatures behind that. Got a few 40s there, 46 for the high in Milwaukee on Friday.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're starting off with a little fog down toward the south, some clouds and sunshine to the north. Typical weather for this time of the year, but watch out. We've got a low with a dry line and another system coming through. That could mean big showers and thunderstorms from Oklahoma down into Dallas later in the week. Otherwise, it's going to be another spring-type day, at least for temperatures. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson, and here's what's happening across the West. Temperatures are slowly warming up, and we've got temperatures into the mid-60s for California, but it's not going to feel that warm because the wind is going to be strong. Low pressure that is moving into the Four Corners is spinning around plenty of mountain snow into the Rockies, eventually even the Colorado Rockies in the Front Range, but it's a windy day for the Joaquin and the Sacramento valleys today. That's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
This multi-layered stack of clouds was spotted over Reno Monday. Lenticular clouds usually look smooth, round, or oval, and often resemble lenses, flying saucers, or pancakes. They form when stable air moves over hills, mountains, or even tall buildings. If the air contains enough moisture, it can condense and lead to these formations. And dawn is loading here with brilliant color in this recent sunrise near Traverse City, Michigan.
Now let's check the weather of cities across the country today. We begin in my hometown, Austin, Texas, where there are areas of patchy fog this morning. They at will give way to partly cloudy skies this afternoon with highs near 82 degrees. Next, we turn to Dayton, Ohio, where there is an abundance of sunshine with highs in the low 70s today. And a look here at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where there is plenty of sunshine with a few clouds this morning. Moving in this afternoon, highs today in Myrtle Beach will be in the mid-70s. And finally, we are in Mackinac City, Michigan, where skies are partly cloudy, but highs today will be just below 50 degrees, which is actually pretty warm considering the normal high temperature for this time of year is just 33 degrees. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. Make it a great Wednesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.